The Bush administration made a decision in 2008, a decision that sowed conflict and bloodshed in Ukraine and Georgia. You see, in politics, there are no right or wrong decisions, but the outcome of a decision will determine if there were better ways to handle the situation. My name is Collins, and welcome to Nomadpedia. During the Bucharest summit of April 2008, the then American President George W. Bush faced stiff resistance from Germany and France over the decision to invite Ukraine and Georgia into NATO, and with other NATO members, as they feared that the alliance is evolving into a worldwide coalition of the willing. As such, increasing polarization and militarization in international affairs. This sparked protests at NATO's headquarters in Brussels 2 weeks before the summit. And in Bucharest, protesters targeted the renewed determination of NATO to use nuclear weapons and NATO's backing of the US anti-missile shield. But the straw that broke the camel's back is in a statement NATO Secretary General Jaap de Hout Scheffer told a news conference. We agreed today that these countries will become NATO members. Reading from a communique made by the Pact's 26 leaders, opening NATO membership to Ukraine and Georgia. Which is like literally saying, guys, join our club and get rich. Join us in the fight against your previous comrades. Even though there was no threat of war and very few people in these countries supported the NATO idea. However, the statement was enough reason to stir up political divisions in these countries. So much so that the then US ambassador to Russia, William J. Burns, warned at that time that even the promise of future NATO membership will create fertile soil for Russian meddling in Crimea and eastern Ukraine. Despite these warnings, US President George W. Bush pushed for NATO to promise membership to Ukraine in 2008, which has subsequently stalled. As Samuel Ramani, Associate Fellow at the Royal United States Institute, told the diplomat, Russia's increased willingness to test the sovereignty of states in Eastern Europe and the post-Soviet region has changed dramatically since 2008. NATO is a US foreign policy arm in Europe. In peacetime, it gives the US sway in the internal politics of its member countries, while ensuring regular sales of US military equipment to some of the richest countries in the world. While in wartime, the alliance gives the US unprecedented reach far away from home as its troops are located in member states without going through the hectic process of leasing military bases abroad. Just think about it, guys. Why does NATO still exist after the fall of the Soviet Union? As according to NATO founding charter, NATO was founded to counter the threats posed by the Soviet Union. According to a New York Times reporter, Russia's President Vladimir Putin made his case plainly. Russia viewed the appearance of a powerful military bloc on its borders a direct threat to its security. The claim that this process is not directed against Russia will not suffice. Mr. Putin said, national security is not based on promises. The US support for these nations' accession to NATO and the US commitment to the protection of Ukraine and Georgia convinced them the Americans will shield them from Russia, encouraging behavior that forces the US to either renege on its promise or go to war with Russia. For example, when the US Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice signed the so-called Charter on Strategic Partnership with both countries, pledging to support sovereignty, independence, territorial integrity, and inviolability of borders. This prompted Georgian President Mikhail Saakashvili to act militarily against a separatist region in 2008, territories which hosted Russian peacekeepers, leading to a war that caused 20,000 casualties on both sides and the loss of these regions. Fast track to 2014, after the Ukraine Euromaidan revolution, which set Ukraine and Russia at odds. Russia made it clear that Ukraine's accession into NATO is a red line and will attract its military intervention in Ukraine. Now it's been 8 years, and has NATO accepted Ukraine? No, but 14,000 lives has been lost in eastern Ukraine due to resistance to that idea, and NATO has made it clear on several occasions that they would not defend Ukraine in the event of a Russian invasion. Now it's time for your comments. Do you think the Bucharest summit statement was a mistake of President Bush administration? And if not, please tell us why. We value your comments. Thanks for watching.